like never before. Distortions are also happening to yoga.
For me, the shift that I see here in terms of yogic practices is quite shocking. I mean, there is goat yoga, there is bear yoga, there is yin-yang yoga, there is awaken your inner child yoga, anything with the name yoga attached. These many people or these many participants or these many classes and these many years, you just keep building illusions of your own, ego and pride, and it really takes you nowhere.
You ready for the video?
Yes.
Let's do it. Conscious practice. What's conscious? This is Vish and
My name is Abhaya.
And today we'll be responding to Sadhguru's video on
How to be a good yoga teacher.
My name is Vish. I'm an aspiring yogi. Love all things wisdom, meditation, yoga based. Super grateful to have Abhaya here today. Want to introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Abhaya. I've been teaching Hatha Yoga for the last 6 years and practicing for about 10 years. So today we're going to just explore what it means to be a good yoga teacher.
So I'm actually really excited here today to have an actual ISHA instructor or teacher here. So getting this real in-depth, first-hand experience of take on Sadhguru's video. So this will be a great one and I'm super excited. Before we start the video, Abhaya, what does it mean to you to be a good yoga teacher since you are a Hatha Isha yoga teacher?
Well, I think we should watch the video first and then talk further about this.
Great point. I think that was a very conscious response to this question. So thank you for sharing that. And would love to hear what you all think. Yes, that's you watching. Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. And now, with that,
let's get into the video.
Like never before. Distortions are also happening to yoga. Serious distortions. Most ridiculous distortions are happening. So at a time like this, going out in the world and offering, mark my words, I'm saying offering classical Hatha yoga is a very significant and an important thing to do, because the populations on the planet are showing interest, but to provide the genuine thing is a tremendous responsibility. Yoga means, in a way, you're trying to marry the cosmos, union with the cosmos. You should not take yourself seriously, but because of what you offer, other people should take you seriously. You take yourself seriously, then you're your partner, cosmos. You're a ridiculous fool when you have a partner like that, no matter how smart you are, isn't it? So that's what yoga means, you're trying union with… So don't ever think you're too smart, you're stupid, but that's what is good about you, because you know. Most other idiots do not know. That's a big thing. The difference between being intelligent and stupid is just this. An intelligent person knows that he's stupid, an idiot does not know that he's an idiot. That's the whole problem. Yoga means you constantly realizing, because you're constantly enhancing your perception. As your perception becomes keener and keener, you're constantly enhancing. If you have to constantly enhance, you must clearly understand that you don't know a damn thing. Otherwise, the moment you think, I know, you will stop. That means no yoga. The day we have produced, let's say, 10,000 classical Hatha Yoga teachers who are actively on in the world, after that, this will become the standard. That's all we need to do. So, you must live and offer this in such an inspiring way. Anybody who sees you should want to do it this way. They must understand the reason why we are taking so much care. For future generations on this planet, it's very important that this science is preserved in its pristine form, not in some crazy ways of doing things.
So after watching that video, Abhaya, what are your first thoughts and views? I want to hear it, especially coming from a Hatha Yoga teacher yourself.
You know what's the most surprising about becoming a teacher, and the most fundamental thing that we're taught in school is actually the more yoga that I do, the further closer I am to the truths that I don't know. And when I first graduated, you know, having say done 6 months of yoga, it may have seemed like, oh, I must have totally mastered it all or learned it all. But over the years of practicing, the more I practice, the closer and closer I realize the truth of how absolutely ignorant I truly am and how little I do know in the world. Another thing that they did as a part of the training with teachers was to consciously actually make us practice saying these words, which is, I don't know. It's a very, very scary thing to admit, especially when you sit as a teacher and people are sitting in front of you, somebody asks you something. You know, it takes a certain amount of letting go of that ego and pride and, you know, jumping to an answer. Suppose somebody asks something without really knowing fully what I'm saying, it's easy to prove myself right and say, oh, here's what the answer is. But very often we were taught to practice it and to repeatedly be in touch with the fact that I don't know, you know. So the closer I am to the truth of I don't know, I feel like that is the only truth that there is to it. So staying really grounded in this space of I don't know as a teacher is possibly the best place to be. The more you grow into this role of, oh, I'm a teacher, oh, this is how long I've been teaching, or these many people, or these many participants, or these many classes, and these many years, you just keep building illusions of your own, you know, ego and pride, and it really takes you nowhere. So I think the most fundamental thing that he talks about, even in this video, and I think was significant for me even in my training, was this sense of I don't know, and staying deeply rooted there without any doubt that I truly don't know. Do I really understand how this leaf came into existence, or how this earthworm is moving through the soil, or how the butterfly chooses the color on its wings, or why this particular asteroid is moving at a particular speed? I absolutely don't. And this sense of curiosity and this sense of engagement with life is only and can only be held when you know that you don't know. So for me, I think that's the greatest takeaway from this message.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing, Abhaya. I actually really very much connect with that point that you mentioned, which is I don't know. I've been following Sadhguru for the past maybe a couple years, not too long, maybe 2 years max. And I think a lot of the wisdom that comes from him is very powerful. but I definitely have very much connected strongly with that I don't know. Even with the practice itself, I have been doing the sadhana for a little over a year now, and has it helped me? I think it definitely has, but has it enlightened me? I'll keep it as an I don't know, right? And I think that's something we're all kind of seeking, but I very much agree with the power of I don't know, because picking anything and believing in something without truly knowing, it truly blinds you from that ultimate truth, whatever that is. And I think it's really also very interesting to see how you being in this position and role, I think it's very relevant to this topic and matter, especially what he talks about, which is the crazy forms of what people are doing these days. I think it's good because people are more receptive. I even heard, I think, a stat, I'm not sure how true it is exactly, but I think at some point in time in San Francisco, there were more yoga studios than coffee shops. So it shows that there is an increasing popularity of this practice. But at the same time, I've also noticed, and this is where it's, I think, especially dangerous, having a spiritual ego, right? So basically having acquired all this wisdom, he also does call these people book yogis, right? But essentially having this spiritual knowledge and then almost identifying yourself with that knowledge and encapsulating yourself in that still limiting identity. So I'm curious about it from your experience here, being an actual ISHA authorized Hatha yoga teacher. What are your views on these newer forms, or let's say new age forms of spirituality? What's your take on this?
So I moved to America pretty recently, and for me the shift that I see here in terms of yogic practices is quite shocking. I mean, there is goat yoga, there is bear yoga, there is yin yang yoga, there is awaken your inner child yoga, anything with the name yoga attached to it.
Lots of Kundalini stuff too, right?
Yeah. Oh, there's Kundalini awakening and all kinds of things happening around. Just attaching the word yoga to something does not make it yoga. The word yoga really means union, and if a particular practice, whether it is yogic or actually non-yogic, if it brings you to a sense of union with you and the world around you and the cosmos, or even just say the soil that you're standing upon, if you feel a complete sense of union within yourself, with your surroundings and the people, you are called or you're said to be in yoga. So it is not something that you do specifically, you know. Yes, there are asanas, and asanas are postures that you can do, but that is not being in yoga. Being in yoga is just a state of complete union. Now, attaching the word yoga to something does not make it union specifically or necessarily. So it's a very dangerous use, you know. There are some forms of these practices that I've seen which may be actually very good at a physical level, you know. They keep your cardio and nervous system good and muscular system good, you know. It keeps your body shape and toned. Those could be benefits that you can derive out of commonly practiced yogic forms in the US. But using the same practices to gain any kind of spiritual foundation or standing could be a little dangerous, and I think it should be handled carefully, if at all I can say something on that, and not very loosely. These are certain aspects of the energy that we don't necessarily fully understand. Something that you don't understand, it's like, how would you deal with a live wire? I mean, the wire gives you electricity and it also, you know, connects the entire city. But just because it lights up this bulb, you're not going to hold the live wire, are you? So similarly, yes, there are certain practices that, you know, move energy through the system. Just because it doesn't mean that we simply start playing with it. It's very important that these aspects are handled delicately and with much care, especially taking the right instructions from the right places and following it as it was taught to you, not making any distortions, extremely important.
Great points there. Thank you so much for sharing again this perspective. I think it's very, very critical coming from, again, a Hatha ISHA authorized yoga teacher. And I very much connect with those points too. I mean, it's not really something you do, it's more of like a state of being, right? And I think the key with the example of the asanas and all these other things, even the food you eat, how you sleep, these are all just setting the right environmental conditions, right, for that flourishing to happen. But the actual flourishing itself is more of something that just happens, right? And yeah, I think it's very important just to be aware, right? I don't think I want to really come off here as an authoritative figure either with these things, but really just at the end, be aware of what you're doing and be careful, especially if you are following the spiritual paths, to just be conscious about, is it really spiritual or is it not? Are you really, quote unquote, doing yoga or being yoga? I would definitely encourage you all to just look a bit more into it, especially from the roots of where it comes from. Because as we know, as it spreads, anything just like the game of telephone, it'll get distorted. And so the key here is just to be aware of the roots. So I want to thank you so much, Abaya, for being here today. It's a really great opportunity and just, really just opportunity to have an actual Hatha Yoga teacher here on the show. And I want to thank you again for taking the time. Would you like to share where they can find you or your social medias or even Yoga Netri? Any of these things, please feel free to share more about this.
So I teach yoga under the name of Yoga Netri. There's a website, www.yoganetri.com. If you are in Austin, we do conduct regular workshops in Austin, which are monthly basis. You can come in for one particular workshop. You would typically learn one full practice that you can independently do thereafter, and you would be supported with upcoming reviews and correction programs for that regularly. If you're not in Austin, there are programs that we do online, and this is a great place to get started, especially for people who are looking for authentic yoga but are new to it and they're looking for simple practices that they can start off at home. So both online and offline options are available to get started with yoga and meditation. If you have something which is specific in terms of a chronic ailment or a particular disease or a particular problem with the body or the mind, and you would need specific personal attention, you can get in touch with me or any of the teachers with Yoga Netri, and we would then guide you personally for whatever is needed for that case.
Awesome. So all of that stuff that she mentioned, the links and all of the information will all be down below. With that, thank you so much for taking this time, for being here and just watching. And if you have any other video reaction requests or topics or guests that you want to see on the show, you can also comment down below. With that, make a great day, take this joyfully, and stay conscious. Awesome job. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Awesome.